One of my favorite things about having podcast this show is that I get the opportunity to literally meet people all across the world. And what's really cool is when a previous guest introduced me to a new guest, and that's super cool. And I love just learning about how people live, and that's exactly what today's show is about. We got Yuli Azarch, who heads up Rich Laptop Lifestyle. You guys can learn about that at richlaptoplifestyle.com or check out the show notes. But what I love about Yuli and this episode is that as I'm on this journey of growing myself, my business, my personal brand, etc., Yuli's already done it. And what's really cool about it is Yuli has done it in a way that's pretty cool. Yuli doesn't have a home. He basically travels and lives out of a hotel, an Airbnb, a hostel, wherever. And to so many, that's crazy. But I just love learning about what he does, his day-to-days. He talks a lot about meditation, how he starts his days like that. I'm starting to meditate myself. I found that by having conversations with people like Yuli and myself, by reading, listening to more books, to listening to more podcasts, and just consuming information that can help my life get better, not just some random Netflix show or something on the WWE network, which I still love as well, but to be consuming content that can help me grow as well, and then me being able to send that information to you as well, is something that's very powerful. And so I'm really excited about this episode, and I'm excited that you guys get to learn from someone who is doing some incredible stuff without something that so many of us say we couldn't live without. So without further ado, I give to you the Rich Laptop Lifestyle's own Yuli. Let's go. So Yuli, you're 27 years old. When did you start to recognize or realize that you like to travel?
Um, I think I realized it around the age of 20 years old. That's kind of when my wishes and really desire to actually travel around the world started. At this age, I started seeing other people are doing it. I saw different bloggers, different like YouTubers. You just see those people who are already doing it at that time. And just in general, it was fascinating for me to travel the world. So I think at around age 20, 21, that's when my real deep desire to see the world brought up inside myself.
Did you grow up traveling with your family or anything like that?
Not really. I mean, the first time I went abroad, I mean, I was growing up in Israel, and the first time I went abroad was around 12, 13. And since then, we were flying abroad once a year, like for a vacation of maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, but never really long-term travel. No, I've never really done it. The first time I've done any kind of long-term travel was at the age of 21, actually. After I finished the army in Israel, I went for a 3-month trip. This was the longest I've done.
Very cool. You're currently in Mexico.
I'm in Mexico
You've
right
been
now,
there for a few
yes.
months now. So this traveling mindset, you realize that okay, I can start to travel. Then you decided to kind of create a business around that at some point. How did you kind of put the two together?
I started with the business first as opposed to the travel first and then figure out how to make money and kind of support myself. I knew I want to travel, so accordingly, I knew I want to have an online business, which accordingly I'll be able to run any place in the world, which will give me the freedom to travel and really do many other things which I want. So I started my first business already at the age of 20. That's when I started kind of my first online business, start dabbling with this. I've never had really any previous business experience, if you say. I don't have this background in my family. So I started with building up a business first. And I really had in mind, I think from day one when I started, that I want to generate some sort of income. Specifically, was very important to me online, so I'll be able to travel. And this made me say, actually, I think no to different opportunities and different maybe business financial opportunities because I knew what I wanted. I wanted to be online. And accordingly, even when I already took my first trip, which I mentioned right now at age 21, I already had an active business running at the time. It was relatively small, but I had something which was generating, or was supposed to generate money at the time.
What type of business was that at that point?
The first business I started was an eBay dropshipping business. So this was the first business I started, and accordingly, that's what I had at age 21.
And then you've moved on, and you still do that, or no
I
longer?
don't do this, so I did move on. I mean, I've been doing this business for, I would say, around 5 years in total. And since then, I started really different types of businesses. I have another e-commerce Amazon business. I had a solo ads business. I was doing coaching, so I was sort of having a coaching business. I had a semi-hosting software business as well, email marketing. So I kind of dabbled and played around with many different business models. But right now, I'm not doing this business. This was just the business, I guess, which allowed me to start earning money online, and really was my first business experience.
You're doing, so you're working on another business as the time that we're recording this. It's not live yet, but you also have Rich Laptop Lifestyle. When did you start doing that?
I started doing this, I think, around a year and a half ago. This is more of a personal and passion project for me. I spend still most of my time kind of in my companies and my business, and I just felt maybe more a need and urge to do something more where I can serve and help others. So it's more of a fun passion project where I share some tips, lesson tips. I share the photos and really different stuff which can help people grow their business and travel. So it's that's kind of how it started. I've been doing it for a year and a half. I also slowly started having a podcast there in addition to a blog and other things. And that's pretty much about Rich Laptop Lifestyle.
Is there a business model behind that? Do you make money off of that?
I don't. So right now I don't. Since I really make money in my companies and other business, I don't really worry about money. That's not my main concern in this business. But funny enough, you ask, I just chatted to a guy, I think 2 days ago, which gave me a really interesting perspective because as an entrepreneur, actually it was very challenging for me sometimes to work on this because I'm not financially motivated. I'm actually spending money up to maybe $1,000 every month just to keep it running from writers, podcast editors, and designers, and all around. And he gave me a perspective that he had the same same experience where he went also for a personal brand, but he developed a business model out of this. So right now, as we're recording this, I don't have one, but it's something I'm probably may need to implement. This maybe actually help me motivate me to do this because as an entrepreneur, I just think in terms of business ideas, how to do things. But right now, no, I never had any really financial incentive behind it, and at the moment, I still don't.
So someone might say you're losing $1,000 a month on the website. Why keep doing it if you're not going to be trying to make money? But you're using that personal brand website, richlaptoplifestyle.com, as a passion project, like you said. But then also it's being funded by some of your other projects or your other businesses. Is that right?
Pretty accurate, yeah.
So you have, how many businesses do you own right now?
Right now, I mainly have two ventures which I'm part of. I have an e-commerce Amazon business, which I'm in the process of selling as we're speaking, and I have another business which is semi-software hosting anonymity business. So those are the main two businesses I'm part of, and I'm also starting a new software venture, but it's not really yet live. So those are the main businesses I'm taking active part of right now at these days.
Do you start things a lot and then understand that like you don't want to, like, why sell them, and then why not just stick with them for the long run? Because one of those business does 7 figures or so, right? Or plus, and why not just stick with that instead of trying to get rid of it and start something different?
Well, as I just explained to you, I've been having different businesses for my whole life. I never really had this one venture or one business as I'm focusing. And in many aspects, it helped me and also didn't help me. So it helped me definitely because I could take learnings I have in e-commerce, let's say, and apply it at SaaS. I could take learning at SaaS and apply it in e-commerce. So something many people are not doing. I had the privilege to have experience in different industries, and I also go in books sometimes in different industries and try to apply them maybe in the actual business industry. In the way it didn't help me, which is why I'm thinking of selling, there is the power of compounding. So let's say, for example, it takes you 2 years to grow a business from 0 to 1 million. And then it took you 2 years to get there. But then it may take you just one more year to grow it from 1 million to 2 million. And then it may take you just maybe 6 months, who knows, or 12 months to grow it from 2 million maybe to 5 million. And then from 5 you go to 10. I mean, I get the idea. That's compounding effect. So that's why I'm looking right now to really go deep with one business and compound this over 1, 3, 5, and maybe 10 years. That's kind of the idea I'm having. less jumping around maybe different business models. And I'm just honestly just less enjoying as well those businesses. Those are not really my purpose. I want to learn and grow maybe elsewhere. So in a combination of the fact that I'm not enjoying it as much as I have before, and that I really want to go deep maybe on one venture in the next few years, I am really thinking and in the process of selling my current businesses to really free my energy and thoughts, maybe to really go deep on one thing and compound myself there for a period of a few years.
Makes a lot of sense. Oftentimes, if we have three ventures, they're only getting 33% of our time or some form of that. But if you can go all in and deep on something that's also successful, that thing can get a lot bigger. So I appreciate that. What's your travel schedule for like the next year? How where do you know where you're going next, or how do you kind of decide where to go next?
Well, I've been traveling right now the world for the last 4 years, just to give exactly full perspective, for full time. Like before, I was kind of playing around with it, but just 4 years ago, I started doing full time. So I'm location independent, digital nomad, whatever you want to call this, the term people use today. I don't really have too much rules, to be honest, in that sense. But I've been doing it for a while, so it definitely changes. So in the beginning, I was traveling much more, maybe changing a place every 2 weeks, every 4 weeks, pretty extreme. Right now, as I've been doing it for 4 years, which is a pretty long time, I'm starting even to change my scheduled travel. So right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm in Mexico. I've been here for 4 months, and I'm going to be here for 2 more months. So that's the longest I'm going to be in any place for the last 4 years. Before this, the longest was 2 months. So I don't really have much rules. It's partially what excites me. So I had a period when South America and Central America was exciting for me. I just really wanted to be there, travel there. There was a period when Asia was exciting to me, and then I really traveled in Asia. And then there was a period when I traveled in Europe and the States based on events. So let's say I knew I have an event in Hawaii, in Miami, some events in Europe. So I basically plan my next 6, 7, 8 months, just combining the travel and going to the business events, which I knew I want to go at this year. So it was more a combination of all those together. I can't say I really have two strict rules. Right now, after here in Mexico, I'm flying to Israel, and then I'm going to be hanging out in Europe for a while. So that's sort of how I decide where to go and how I decided maybe where to go in the past.
Very cool. Do you like the word digital nomad? You kind of laughed when you said that.
I don't know. Many people are using it, but today, anyone can be a digital nomad, whether you're
Sure.
a designer, a developer, or really doesn't really matter which position, or even not any position in the company, and you can use this. It just makes me laugh because I guess it's a very popular term. I do use it myself at times, but I don't really think of myself as one. I don't really know what to call it. What do you want? Location dependent, whatever you want to call it.
I like it. Location dependent too. That's pretty good. Do you stay in Airbnbs, hotels? How do you decide that?
I hate hotels. I only stay in Airbnbs. Well, as a person who doesn't really have a home, Airbnb is the minimal I can get to at least feel somehow in home. I love, first of all, cooking my own food. From a productivity perspective, it saves me a lot of time as well, and it's just much healthier because I know what's in my food, and I don't trust too much restaurants sometimes. So I cook my own food. I love more space. It's cheaper, so I always stay in Airbnbs, and I try to aim for long-term rentals from 2 weeks, 1 month, or 2 months, depending on the period. But I really don't like hotels. And usually the more expensive the hotel is, the worse the Wi-Fi is. I think there is a really direct correlation there.
That's funny. I lived in a hotel for 45 days once. I didn't mind it. It was nice having the person kind of clean up after you all the time. That was nice. So did you book? Do you book this place that you're in right now for 4 months, or how did that work?
Well, here specifically, I just found this apartment from an agent. Like, it's not always from
Got
Airbnb.
it.
Most of the world, I do use Airbnb, but here, for example, Airbnb will take you 200% more money. So I don't like overpaying for stuff. So I just found a place through an agent, and I saw the place, and I took it, basically started renting.
Very cool. How do you meet people since you travel so often? Like, where are you finding new people to make as friends?
Well, funny enough, I actually meet lots of people online. Like, I have a big network of entrepreneurs all around the world. And many times, let's say I had an experience where I flew to Singapore just for 3, 4 days, and I had a friend on Facebook which told me, "Hey, Yuli, you're in Singapore, let's meet up." And I hang out with him for a day. And I had this experience happen to many, many times because I posted on Facebook that I'm traveling somewhere. All of a sudden, someone else was there, and we met up. So That's how I randomly meet people. On intention, I fly to events. Events are really, really important to me. That's where I meet people and hang out. Then, when I'm in Israel visiting my family, I have friends there. But in general, most of the time I spend in third world countries. Like right now, Mexico is still a third world country where I am right now. There isn't a big network of entrepreneurs. Like the people here are cool, but those are not necessarily the people I want to hang out with every day. And accordingly, I actually don't see too many people. I try and keep my relationships online. So I aim for books, podcasts, audiobooks as the what I'm surrounding myself with. I believe you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So I spend the most time right now with books and audiobooks when I'm here. I don't really see many people and friends, which really helps me go deep as well in my work, allows me to focus. And I'm traveling with my wife, which really helps. So I'm not completely alone, but I still do miss sometimes with social aspects. So let's say in 2 weeks, I'm flying to LA and I have a bunch of friends in LA. So I'm going to meet up. I'm going to see people. I'm going to have my social tick, seeing people. And then I'm going to come back here as well without any people. So it's a combination of going and sometimes really being more intense, seeing lots of people, maybe going to events, entrepreneurs, and then periods where actually I'll not see people. I'll be just with my work. I'll be with books. I'll be with nature, audiobooks, and that's what I'll surround myself with.
Well, what does your wife think about this whole lifestyle?
Well, she's been doing it with me right now for over 3 years, so she
Wow.
loves it. She was working at a regular job when we just met, and I helped her actually set up her first online business, which helped her a bit be more secure, join me on this traveling the world experience. But it's really important for the other person, if you're doing it, actually to really want it, because she really had a deep desire and wish to do it with me. She in general was passionate about travel. She never really did it long-term travel, but having an online business really helped her, and also helps not just from the financial perspective, but it helps from purpose perspective. Because when you're doing it long term, if you're just traveling and doing nothing else, this can get pretty boring. Does even if you're living on the most exotic beach after a few weeks. So it really helps from a financial perspective, from a purpose perspective, and we love the lifestyle. And we've been doing it together for a few years, and yeah, we love what we're doing.
You used the word purpose. What do you think your purpose is?
Well, I do have a specific mission statement which I'm looking at every day. I don't have it in front of me. The the mission statement which I'm saying where like the purpose of my life is to feel happy, to do good in the world, to inspire others, to inspire myself. So that's kind of the mission statement which I'm looking at every day. I do have a poster with some values and purpose. So I would say that's a more encompassing purpose which I can think of. But since we're talking about traveling, I think it's a very dangerous place to go. And when you're doing it long term, to just travel. And the work which I'm doing just with the years is becoming more and more important to me and bringing lots of purpose. I remember many periods where I had weeks where I barely had any work done, quote unquote vacation or just traveling and hiking. And after a while, I mean, it just gets, I don't want to say boring. Maybe it is boring. But when you're doing it long term, you just want to do stuff. And as an entrepreneur, I want to create stuff. I want to make the world a better place. I want to create better products. I want to serve people better. So all those things together really create lots of purpose daily. Very important to have some form of work which you're learning, you're growing there, and you're really helping others.
Where's your favorite place to travel?
Copenhagen in Thailand is one of my favorite spots I've ever stayed in. Hawaii in the United States, I guess, would be my second favorite pick. And I'll choose also Guatemala, a place called Lake Atitlan. I really love nature, and those are all places where I can really be very deep in nature, more spiritual place, and kind of easier for me actually also to focus on work in those environments. So those are the three spots which I'll have to choose.
Now, knowing that you're not tied to a specific location, do you find that you work a specific time of day every day, or do you kind of change it up every day?
I don't really have any rules because it really changes with every place I go. Some places it's very easy for me to wake up at 6 a.m. and other places I wake up at 8, maybe because the lighting is not the same. So I don't really follow the same structure where I have to work the same hours every day or the same amount. Some days I don't feel like working. I need to recharge myself. I'll work less. Some days I'll work more. In general, though, in the last 1 year, transitioned into doing my best work in the morning. I became more of an early waker, and I'm doing my best work right now in the morning. And if it's not the day when I'm traveling or anything, then after I finish my morning routine, I will do my most important work in the day in the morning. That's when I notice I'm most sharp. That's when I'm most focused. Then I may take time off and I can work. But overall, I don't really have specific hours which I'm following, because especially for me as I'm traveling a lot, it can change so much. So as opposed to being rigid on a specific routine, I just try to the best I can, which is usually the structure of doing work in the morning. And if I don't feel good, I go out and then I can tackle it later, whether it's in the evening, in the afternoon. And I don't really count as well how many hours I work as well. Like, for example, I think it's a bit silly that you have to work exactly Monday to Friday, 40 hours a week, and rest on Saturday and Sunday. I mean, rest is very important, but what if you are tired on Monday or Tuesday and just need to take a day off then? And I just take this day off and I can maybe work a bit more on Sunday if I feel like more energized and better at those days.
So, what do you think a day in the life is, Yuli, is like?
Right now, a day in my life here, since I'm sort of settled down here in Mexico for a few months, so I am living here. That's the longest I've ever been. And an ideal day for me here, I guess I'm waking up at 7 a.m. in the morning, and from 7 to 9, sometimes until 10, it's from 2 to 3 hours, I'm doing my morning routine. I'll be happy to go over my morning routine if you wish. And then usually I start my working day around 10 a.m. after I've meditated, after I've walked on the beach, after I've planned my day, after I've maybe looked at my mission statement, which we talked about before, many things which I'm nurturing myself, then I'm starting my work. So it's going to be maybe around 9, 10. And then I may do a block of work of 3 hours, for example, which is the time I notice that afterwards I may lose focus. So afterwards I may go for a walk on the beach for 20 minutes right now. I'll come back. I'll read a book for another half an hour, 40 minutes. When I'm walking on the beach, I'll listen to an audiobook. Then I'll come back. Maybe I'll have lunch. I usually don't have breakfast these days. I do intermittent fasting. After lunch, I will try and do another block of 3 hours work. So probably we're already around 2 p.m.-ish potentially here. And maybe I'll finish around 5 again. Then I'll kind of go to the beach again, read a book again. And then in the evening, it's a mixture. I love doing saunas. So here I almost every day do a sauna in the evening. I have a sauna in the building. So I make sure to nurture myself. And I'll catch up maybe with emails and last work in the evening, depending how I feel. And I'll just make sure I read more in the day. I'll have dinner, maybe something light around 6. And yeah, that's pretty much kind of the structure of the days which I have right now.
Very cool. Got a lot to talk with about that. So, the morning routine, what is involved in that?
So it's changing many times because I'm traveling and sometimes it can be exactly 1 to 1. But the one which I have right now is I wake up at 7. One of the first thing I do, I drink water with sea salt. I take a shower, a cold shower. I notice cold showers really waking me up. Like ideally, if I would have an ice bath, I would jump to an ice bath. So if one day I'll have a home, I'll make sure I have an ice bath there. I brush my teeth, and when I said I go on a walk on the beach, I'll usually listen to an audiobook during this period. I'll feed my mind with something positive. I'll be grounded on the beach as well. I'm starting my day from really positive and great views. And then I'll usually do something physical. So I'll either do a workout. Right now, I love doing workouts on the beach. It's really great. After the beach, I'm running to the water. I may do yoga. Today, for example, I've done yoga in the morning. Or I'll go to the gym, something physical every day. And then I'll do meditation for 20 minutes. So this is very, very important to me. It allows me to be focused. And after meditation, I will plan my day. So right now, before as well, it's the morning here, just before we jump on the call, I had already planned my day. So when I focused, I did the planning. I'm doing some journaling just to get some stuff out of the brain. I think this is one of the things which I'm getting more and more in love with, just journaling in general as much as I can. Helps me unstuck myself from many things in my life. And then I pretty much jump into work to there. In between, I also usually focus 5 minutes in the morning on things I'm grateful for. I'm doing some deep breathing. And yeah, all of this together takes me on an ideal day around 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours. And it kind of helps me to take care of myself. And then allows me maybe to push harder in work since today, right now, in these last few months, I'm working relatively a lot. So it allows me really to push this, and this morning routine supports me and helps me really being more focused. And it's one of those things which I'm really grateful I'm doing. And I would recommend anyone else to do some form of morning routine.
There's a lot in there, so I want to talk about that. Okay, so is it cold water with sea salt, or
No, the cold water is a shower, cold
sure?
water shower. Water is just regular water with sea salt, which I'm drinking.
So where do you get the sea salt?
I just
You just
buy
buy it.
sea salt from
Yeah,
a health store.
got it. Okay. Um, what's significant about that? Why do you put the sea
About the
salt
sea
in there?
salt in the
Yeah.
water?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the sea salt allows to give you more minerals and electrolytes. So if you drink sometimes lots of water directly in the body without anything else, I mean, this can go directly through the body and you're not actually absorbing anything. So just for research and since I'm really passionate about health, I found that adding just a bit of pinch to about sea salt really helping give you a bit more minerals, electrolytes, and especially if you're working out a lot and sweating in a sauna, you're losing a lot of electrolytes. So salt really helps replenish this, and lots of athletes especially are using much more salt during their day and in the morning. So while I'm not an athlete, it really helps me keep this balance, and I'm feeling really good, and I'm noticing how the water is absorbing better in the body.
Cold showers. How did you learn about that, and why do you do it?
I don't remember exactly from whom I learned this, but it really wakes the hell out of you. Um, and it's really good also to combine heat and cold. I just really love the heat and cold, whether it's a sauna and from a sauna jumping into an ice bath or the opposite. So I just tried it. I don't remember exactly from which source I've heard it, and I just feel so good. In the beginning, it was very challenging. Maybe I don't feel like going to a cold shower when I'm in London, let's say, and it's freezing cold. But I do it nonetheless, and it wakes up a lot and it helps the body recover as well. And especially in the morning, since I love being very focused and sharp, it helps me get very much faster. So that's kind of why I started the cold showers, and mainly it's just how I feel. I feel amazing afterwards.
Yeah, I've done a couple in my life. They do feel good, but they're very painful to get
I
started.
agree. I agree. You get used to it. You get
Yeah.
used to it with friends.
Do you do the hot to cold and then back to the hot, or do you just go straight into the cold?
I go straight in the cold, and then maybe I'll do a bit of heat and cold. That's not ideal, but that's what I can do, like in a house, which I have no control with a regular shower.
Very, very good work there. Uh, what you talked about intermittent fasting. What's your schedule on that? Is it the 16/8, or what do you do for that type of fasting?
So I mainly changed to this in last year since I switched to a more ketogenic diet. I was before a more low carbish diet, and since I really moved to a more ketoish diet and I'm in general doing a lot of things for my health, I just noticed I'm just not hungry in the morning. So right now it's 10:40 a.m. I haven't had anything, and I'm just not hungry. I had no idea how I was squeezing so much food before in my stomach, and accordingly, I notice it's usually 15 hours, 16 hours. Sometimes it's 17 and 18 hours as well. I have days where I go for one meal, but most of the time it's circling around 15, 16 hours, sometimes a bit more. I've been having a block of window of around 8 hours when I'm eating, if I have to give that kind of an average of how it's working for
So
me.
16 hours of no eating, 8 hours straight of eating, or that's where you have that 8 hours of where you can consume
It's not
food.
straight eating. No, it's just 8 hours where I do allow myself to eat. So
Right.
regularly I finish eating around 6 p.m., which I notice I like doing because it gives my digestive system a bit relaxation before I go to sleep, like 4 or 5 hours with no food. I notice I sleep much better as opposed to eating something right before sleep and then I wake up much more groggy. So I'll finish usually around 6, and then after I finish my morning routine, everything, it may be already around 10 a.m. ish, and I maybe just do some herbal tea, and then maybe have lunch. So that's usually kind of the average in times. But at the same time, I'm not too rigid in myself. Like I may have sometimes 14 hours or 15. I try and more listen to my body and how it feels, and at the same time try and aim for 14 to 16 hours.
Do you drink alcohol?
I don't. I stopped drinking alcohol right.
Do you ever try and mix that in there, and how does that at all? Or I'm just wondering how
Mix it
that,
in the
yeah, into
intermittent
the
fasting.
fasting. Like how does,
Alcohol.
yeah. Have you ever tried that?
No, well, I used to drink a lot when I was a bit younger, right? I just stopped completely any alcohol consumption for the last 3+ years, I would say. So no, I've never tried really bringing alcohol into intermittent fasting.
I wasn't saying that you should. I just wondered how. Like I've always wondered if people who do fasting ever try to put in
I, I
alcohol into it.
I never heard of people doing it on purpose, like intermittent fasting with alcohol. I mean, alcohol is still a form of sugar, so
Sure.
I guess it doesn't help you with the fat and burning fat and maybe being less hungry in the morning. Just my guess, but I don't know anyone else like on purpose doing alcohol.
Yeah, I don't think they necessarily do it on purpose. I guess they just, they might be on the fast and then realize, oh, I'm going out to the bar or I'm going to have a couple cocktails. But that'll be interesting. So you talk a lot about audiobooks and podcasts. Are there some that you kind of live by, or like if someone was to say like, what's your favorite book or favorite podcast? Like, do you know a couple offhand that you would say?
I don't have a favorite one. I'm listening to so many podcasts. So I think I have like around 40 podcasts in general. And depending on the topic which I want to go into, I'm going there. So let's say about health, I have like 3 or 4 podcasts which I listen regularly about health. I think 50% of the things I'm listening in general are about health. And then let's say SaaS. So if I want to listen about SaaS, I have 3 or 4 podcasts which I go about SaaS, where I learn mainly about this topic. Then, since I had an e-commerce business, I had 4 podcasts where I was going and maybe hearing about e-commerce. And then I have just general podcasts, which are interesting conversations and maybe just in business in general or entrepreneurial conversations. So I can't really choose a favorite one because it really depends on the topic I want to hear. I really have lots of podcasts. Books, 2 books come to mind. I mean, I have so many, and I'm a voracious reader. Last year, I read over 100 books for the year. But the book, The One Thing, that comes to mind right now is one of my favorite business books. And there's a book by Jocko Willing, Extreme Ownership, which I really, really liked, which I read last year. So if I have to choose 2 books, I would go for them. Those are the books that comes to mind. But in general, I have so many books and audiobooks, which I go to regularly.
When you say you read 100 books or 100 plus, do you actually read them, or are they 100 audiobooks?
No, 100 was physical books without the audiobooks. So every day I may end up maybe in total for around 3 hours listening to an audiobook. So basically every second of the day, which I have free, which I'm not doing anything else, let's say work, I'll listen to an audiobook. So as I mentioned, what I'm doing here, walks on the beach, I'll listen to an audiobook. So 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, it's already 1 hour a day. When I'll cook my food, since I love cooking my food, I will listen to an audiobook. If I'm on a flight, it's an excellent opportunity for me to delve into 4, 5, 6 hours audiobooks. If I'm on a taxi and I have 10 minutes, I'll activate something for 10 minutes and we'll listen to it. So the 100 books was without any kind of audio podcasts. I mainly go for podcasts when I do an audio version.
Got it. So I recently got an iPod Shuffle that's waterproof. And I like to swim laps, and so I'll swim laps, and I can use this iPod while listening to audiobooks. And I've had it for about a month, and 3 books into it now. I mean, it's just they're going to add up really, really quickly. And I'm kind of like you. It's like, how can you be more efficient when things might not?
Yeah, well, one of the things I added actually just I think in the last 6-8 months is listening to audiobooks when I'm brushing my teeth. Before I wasn't doing it. Now, it's just 5-10 minutes in the morning. It's just maybe 5-10 minutes in the evening. But I noticed just from those extra 5-10 minutes, which may end up to 15-20 minutes a day, in a week it's 140 minutes, it's 2 hours. In a month, it's 8 hours. In 8 hours, you can finish a book. So just from adding this small one habit, I start finishing and consuming so much more great information into my mind.
Yeah, I try to introduce myself to 5 new people a day, similar to me and you here. And at the end of the year, it's over 1,000 new relationships that you've created by just saying hello to someone, and it's kind of just like that. So I love that. What's something that you want to do that you haven't done in life yet?
What I want to do that I haven't done in life yet. So I want to do a bit more public speaking. I haven't really done any public speaking in front of people. I do have a podcast in Rich of Lifestyle, which we discussed. I have another podcast which I started, which is not live yet, for my software company. And public speaking, I guess, is one of those. Maybe being a parent. I don't have kids. It's one of the things maybe I'm looking forward to in life. What else I'm looking forward to? Running a much bigger businesses, actually. I feel, I'm running 7-figure businesses. That's all cool. I've traveled the world, but I feel like still it's such a small business, And I still think it's so easy to get here. I mean, I'm just 27 years old. I'm just starting my life and professional life. So I'm looking forward running an 8-figure business, a 9-figure business. I think it's just more challenging um, as well. I'm looking forward building much more meaningful products and services which really impact much more other people. So I think those are a few things which come to mind right now when you ask me, or maybe things I'm looking forward to in the coming years. I don't know about the whole life ahead of me.
Very good. So you said when you got started, you had no business experience. You didn't go to school to get a business degree or anything like that. How did you get started in learning business?
Yeah, I didn't go to university and I didn't go anywhere. I guess I started by reading books. Books is such an amazing source of learning. So really anything you want to learn, you can go to books and then specifically the internet. I mean, Dr. Google, just ask him any question. And really, I think it's the best way to learn. I mean, university is so outdated in terms of learning how to do business, I think. So I went and just started reading blogs. I started reading lots of self-development books and I started getting mentors, specific people. Let's say I started dropshipping business. I was searching specifically for people that are teaching how to do a dropshipping business. And then that's how I learned the more maybe tactical things on eBay or small things. And basically all from Google for more maybe tactical specific things. And then books which just help me in general shape ideas. So I think this is the main way I learned, and that's the main way I learned today, man. Just reading books and reading more and more books, and this is I regularly change the way I think about things because of something I read, and something I read allows me to implement something right away. There's so much good information. That's still the main way I learn. That's how I learned. That's how I started my first business. Just went on the internet and most importantly, start taking action and started building stuff.
I mean, I think that's so true. I didn't go to school to do business either. Been in business for almost a decade now, and I learned from YouTube University. Like I
It's the
Googled,
best university.
yeah, you know, and podcasts like this, books, magazines, blog articles. I mean, and the good thing is the stuff that you're reading is usually by people who have done it. And the problem with universities and the education system is it's so outdated. They haven't done it, and you're just like, come on, like, and you guys spend a lot of money, right? Like,
I have a problem with this type of model in general. I know so many friends who went to university, studied something 3-4 years, and basically you throw away for trash, basically everything you learn. Most of the time it is. I know there are a few examples where you need to go, but really for 80% of people and their goals, it's very outdated model of education, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's just, you want people to live their life better and to be able to learn and not be so indebted to a bank or a loan or something like that. And, you know, school is expensive. Do you really learn anything? Is the person teaching you, you know, have they experienced it? Have they experienced, you know, people that are teaching, you know, business now, you know, they're not even teaching internet stuff. They're teaching, you know, old stuff.
What you're saying is very important. You learn from people who have done it, and that's one, I think, the fastest way to actually get a result. And it's very dangerous as well to learn something who haven't done it as well himself, because only when you have the experience of doing something, I think you can give it to others. Because there's so many people today who are teaching maybe how to make specific type of business who haven't done it themselves, and then accordingly it's hard for people to learn. So I think it's so important. I can even just bring one example. Since I had an Amazon business, I was listening to lots of podcasts and really going to events and trying to find lots of mentors. And I found that when I was listening to people who haven't done it, they're not really giving me the best information. When I started following and learning from people who exactly have done what I want, I started getting results so much faster. So, and accordingly, university, most of the people, they're not business person. Like the entrepreneurs usually will have their companies to run, but not going to be in university from 9 to 5 teaching about business.
Totally agree. What's something that I haven't asked you that most people do?
What's something I think you did ask me like something what most people do. They ask me where usually I love to travel, and those are things. I have nothing that's coming to my mind right now.
All right. What's the next place that you're going to visit?
I am going to Israel next after Mexico in 2 months, and I'm going to be hanging out in Europe for a while.
Does your wife? I know you said she has her own business as well. Do you guys talk about the businesses a lot?
Yeah, we do. So I'm still sort of her coach, mentor, advisor, and sometimes financial. I'm funding it as well for her and helping. So I'm playing kind of with all those roles for her business. And definitely we talk about it. And many times she comes to me a lot with this actually when I just want to chill out and maybe talk to her as my wife and not as the business uh, person. But yeah, we have lots of conversations, and she's giving me lots of feedbacks as well. Actually, I when I have a problem, a challenge, or anything in my business, I go to her, and she gives me amazing ideas. So we do have lots of conversations, which are going towards this direction. Yeah.
Is she in the room with you now?
She's not in a room, so
Okay,
she's in the house.
got it.
I'm in the room. This is my office, so I'm alone here in the room right now.
Um, when you kind of alluded to this, so sometimes you just want her to be your wife, and sometimes she's, you guys talk about business. How do you figure out and get her back to being the wife instead of the person that you're talking to as a business coach?
I need to remind her it's still a bit challenging sometimes, and I think it's a bit harder for her because she automatically goes there. And sometimes after working for a day or maybe having a hard day, I just want to relax and maybe talk to her as my wife, as opposed to again solve business challenges and solve problems. So it is challenging. Sometimes she's going there, and I just need to really gently remind her. But I love her, and I just really tired. I would love to really talk to my wife and not to maybe a business person. And usually she understands this, and then we switch the conversation. So it's usually just me reminding her and explaining to her where I'm coming from, and that's how it helps.
You've mentioned a couple of times that you think getting to seven figures in business is fairly easy. Is there something that someone that is watching that's trying to get to seven figures could learn from you?
Well, I think it's what we discussed, right? Partially about finding people who have done what you want. I think it's important to work hard, but it's also important to work on the right things. So you do want to find a mentor, someone who has actually done what you want, and maybe someone who grew a seven-figure business. I mean, you can learn from someone who doesn't have a seven-figure business how to grow one. So find someone who has such a business and learn from them. See what they're doing. See how they're thinking. What are they surround yourself in any way around them. Going to events that people are doing much better than you as well. Maybe running bigger businesses. This can help as well. So finding someone who is much higher than you, where maybe you want to be, and then learn from them. I think it's one of the best ways to really speed up your results through getting different types of mentors and coaches. I work with lots of one-on-one coaches. So I actually today in a few hours I have a coaching call with my coach, which we have every 2 weeks, and I try to get different coaches for different things in life. So I think this is one of the best things which helped me. I went and spent the money on the events, on the coaches, and I see it as an investment in myself. And I think that's one of the best investment a person can do.